Forecast First is brought to you by Fayette Heating and Air.
Well, we are seeing cool conditions out there for tonight. Clear skies aiding in that cool down, getting down into the 50s and 40s, and really nothing on current Fox radar, not only around the Midwest here in the South. High pressure going to be helping us out. Warmer temperatures coming into the forecast, though. We'll start out chilly tomorrow, make our way into the mid-60s for the afternoon, mid-70s for your highs, but that's only the beginning of a nice spring surge taking over the forecast. I'll tell you how warm we go and how long it's lasting in my full forecast in just a bit. The Fox 56 10 o'clock news starts right now.
Celebrating the national champions after last night's big win.
We got to see the volleyball players, and they were rocking it.
Why fans say this was so important to Big Blue Nation. Some experts are worried that the pause and restart of the Johnson & Johnson vaccine could cause more vaccine hesitancy. Why they say you shouldn't be concerned if it's given in the Commonwealth again. And getting high school students and their families vaccinated, how Fayette County schools are giving out the shot.
The Fox 56 10 o'clock news starts now.
Good evening to you, and thanks for joining us tonight. The national champions are back home. The UK volleyball team landed in Lexington today after clinching the title last night. Wildcats made history this season by advancing to their first Final Four, and then even better, winning their first national championship. So police escorted the team across town to Memorial Coliseum back on campus today. Hundreds of fans met them there for a victory celebration. Take a look at that trophy. Grayson Passmore takes us inside the party where she talked to fans who say Big Blue Nation needed this big win. Her story is first on Fox.
I think I dislocated my elbows last night on the last point. I was like this.
Fans on the edges of their seats last night watching the UK volleyball team secure their first national championship title.
I was like the guy on an airplane just sweating.
Terry Settles isn't exaggerating either. Fans shocked after that final score, jumping up and down, hugging each other.
A huge cheer, and man, I'm still excited. I feel like I'm walking on air today.
For Big Blue Nation, it was a win needed on and off the court.
So what this community needed right now?
Something new, especially with poor Terrence Clark. That was rough. So that was a good distraction from that.
The loss of one of their own, on top of a year in this pandemic, canceled sporting events, limited in-person fans.
Glad we had a national championship, and they had the ability with all the seniors to come out and do something special this year.
A team full of newly titled national champions, inspiring a younger generation.
We got to see the volleyball players, and they were rocking it.
Cheering on their favorites.
Who's your favorite players? Number 17, number 3.
And standing ovations for the whole team. On UK's campus, Grayson Passmore for the Fox 56 10 o'clock news.
Love to see those young kids excited about it, but it's not just fun for the fans. You can tell the team's enjoying it too, and they should. I mean, they're national champs. And Alex Walker has more now on the Cats' impressive tournament run and how they made it happen to hoist that trophy. Alex?
From the airport to Memorial Coliseum, UK receiving the red carpet treatment, and it is so well deserved, right? I watched that national championship trophy come off the plane, and when Craig Skinner and his Cats walked by the fans, they were treated like celebrities, and for good reason. UK beating Texas in 4 to win the schools and the SEC's first volleyball national title. And I think this message speaks volumes. Skinner saying last night, "I'll never forget walking into my first match in 2005, and there were about 67 people in the stands. Dreams start somewhere, and 16 years later, his Wildcats making that championship dream come true."
It's unbelievable. It's numbing. Like I told the team last night, your life has changed forever. All the feels, just the support from the Lexington, the Commonwealth, Big Blue Nation fans all over, living a dream. I mean, you dream about moments like that. You dream about the opportunity, and the players, our staff, we're all living it right now.
I've been saying it over and over again, it's amazing. We've been working so hard at this for what feels like 9 months now, and to see it finally come to reality, it's amazing. We've talked about this for so long. We've put ourselves in this moment in our heads for so long, and so it's so emotional and so surreal.
This national championship has been in the works for years under Craig Skinner's leadership. Two members of the all-tournament team, Madison Lilly and Avery Skinner, explain how good it feels to win it all. That's coming up in sports. Garrett.
All right, Alex, thank you. U.S. health officials have lifted the pause on the Johnson & Johnson vaccine. It's gotten a green light now in several states, but Governor Andy Beshear has not said when or if the one-dose shot will be administered again here in Kentucky. Olivia Russell talked to a doctor today about what to expect if it's given again in the Commonwealth.
Vaccine distribution is slowing down in Kentucky.
We're running out of people who initially were very excited to get the vaccine, and now folks that are a little bit more hesitant. And we need to get those folks need to get that vaccine so we can get through this.
Dr. Ryan Stanton fears that hesitancy will grow, especially with the Johnson & Johnson vaccine put on pause. The good news, though, other vaccines are available.
There's enough supply of Pfizer and Moderna and Johnson & Johnson that you can get the one you want. Weigh whether you want the 2-shot or the 1-shot, whether you want the looking at the data that's available out there. We're finally at that point that you can really almost pick which one you think is best for your situation.
Some small communities were depending on the Johnson & Johnson, though, because of limited resources in rural areas, including manpower and storage. Studies show people in rural communities are also least likely to get the vaccine in the first place. Dr. Stanton said many people would refuse the Johnson & Johnson vaccine with or without the pause.
No, there's not really much we can say to a lot of people that are going to convince them that they're going to get that they need to get the vaccine.
Overall, he's confident with this vaccine, pointing out that only 15 people developed blood clots out of nearly 8 million people who were given the shot.
The COVID-19 virus did not invent blood clots. The question is whether this is something different or new, or whether it's something associated with, say, oral contraceptives or smoking or previous clotting disorders.
Researchers hope to have those answers soon to give vaccine recipients some peace of mind. In Lexington, Olivia Russell for the Fox 56 10 o'clock news.
The CDC is expected to release an analysis of the blood clot issue next week. Let's go ahead and take a look now at today's COVID report. The governor announced 325 new cases and 4 deaths. The state also reported 9 additional deaths from the ongoing audit. So Kentucky's coronavirus-related death toll is now up to 6,449. Our positivity rate dropped a bit to 3.18%, about 7,600 new vaccinations. So we're up to 1.72 million people roughly who have been vaccinated in Kentucky. And a new vaccination site is coming to Laurel County this week. Opens on Wednesday at the Cooperative Extension site in London. FEMA is helping to provide shots there in a part of the state seeing low vaccination rates.
This is a spoke in a wheel model where we will have mobile units working in and around all of the counties. We need to do better in this region in terms of vaccination. And I don't say that just for a goal. It makes the region safer.
That site there will stay open for at least 6 weeks, and it has the ability to give more than 7,000 shots a week. Also this week, Fayette County Public School students, families, and staff can get the COVID-19 vaccine at school. Clinics are scheduled for Tuesday at the district's 6 high schools. Grace Feinerman explains how it could not only protect people against the virus, but also help keep students and staff from having to quarantine.
Schools offering COVID-19 vaccines does come after people at the district say cases are on the rise. So now all 6 high schools like Frederick Douglass here will not only be offering classes, but they'll be offering clinics. These clinics will be open to students, their families, and district employees. In an email to parents last week, the acting superintendent says nearly 500 people across the district were in quarantine. Something of note here, the CDC says if students are fully vaccinated, meaning 2 weeks after the second dose, they may not need to quarantine if exposed to the virus.
We're really excited about going to all these public schools.
Vaccine director Jordan Whiter says these clinics could help target a population that's been tough to reach.
We have vaccinated obviously a lot of the population that is eligible, but the 16 to 18-year-olds are usually a harder group to grasp just because they're younger, they're in school constantly. Some of them may not have the accessibility to vaccines.
This chance to receive the vaccine is happening on Tuesday, with a second dose available May 18th. For high school students, this means the chance to head into summer vacation without worrying about making COVID-19 vaccine appointments. The clinics will be giving out the Pfizer vaccine, which is shown to be 95% effective in preventing COVID-19. In Lexington, Grace Feinerman for the Fox 56 10 o'clock news.
We have a link to register on foxlexington.com, and that link also has a way for parents to give consent for 16 and 17-year-olds to get their vaccines. Federal help could soon be on the way for Kentucky. How it could make a difference in counties hit hard by flooding. That's next.
And we are tracking plenty of dry weather ahead with a spring surge just right around the corner. All of the latest forecast after the break.
It has been a long couple of months since major flooding hit Kentucky. On Friday, President Biden approved a disaster declaration for a handful of Kentucky counties. Meteorologist Allie Blake spoke with Estill County Emergency Management about what this means for their community.
I know people want to get home, and I want them to get home. And we're doing everything we can to get people back home.
That's Melissa Riddell with Estill County Emergency Management, who is happy to see federal help is now able to be administered.
It allows individuals to apply for assistance through FEMA. And that can be everything from grants for home repairs, small business loans for small business. Residents can also apply.
Her biggest message is to apply, 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 and do it as soon as you can, no matter what the size or severity the damage is.
People, especially in Eastern Kentucky, they don't like to ask for help. They're very self-sufficient, but you need the help. So, and it's there, don't be hesitant about accepting it.
You are able to apply 7 days a week on the FEMA website or call the 1-800 number from 7 a.m. to 9 p.m. Melissa says that also there's another important thing you need to know when applying for aid.
I don't want residents to think that the FEMA funds are a fix-all. They do have a max payout, and with some of the damages received here, even the max payout's not going to be enough to put their homes back together.
But it does give people that need it a start somewhere and an extra boost. When exactly you apply will the funds be distributed is just a game of patience. But Estill County Emergency Management wants people to know that have been displaced from their homes that you've been seen, you've been heard, and help is on the way. Allie Blake for the Fox 56 10 o'clock news.
And if your claim ends up being rejected, you can appeal it. One Owsley County family is finally returning home after they were left homeless by flooding. The McDaniel family spent the last 2 months at a motel. Cassie Hudson with Partnership Housing says the family lost everything.
Right down to their towels, their clothes, all their possessions they lost. So there's a lot of different groups that came in and got involved, and we tore the home down to the studs, and now we have rebuilt it from floor up.
I'm so tickled that we got this. Don't know how to thank everybody, but say thank you.
And you can see just how much it means to them. A lot of organizations pitched in to help, including churches and government agencies in Owsley County.
Well, after a cloudy start to this Sunday, that cloud cover cleared out, leading to much sunnier conditions in the afternoon and evening hours. Now tonight, clear skies, and that means temperatures are going to be cooling down in response with it. Usually if we have that cloud cover, that'll help us out. Temperatures going to be getting down already into the 50s, lower 40s. You see nothing on current Fox radar, and that's exactly the point that I was making. There's really nothing around our region, and that is both good news and semi-bad news. Not necessarily too bad, though. Only bad with those chilly temperatures for tonight, but it won't be down into necessarily freezing frost conditions. It's just a chilly night ahead. But that dryness also means high pressure is dominating the forecast, And that also is an indication that winds are going to be shifting out of the south as that high pressure moves off to the east. As it does so, those winds shifting out of the south will bring us above average temperatures. We typically always talk about above average temperatures when we're talking about a strong southerly wind. It's just really helping boost those warmer temperatures into our region. So we'll go into tonight, into tomorrow morning. I mentioned those temperatures falling down into the lower 40s, even some upper 30s out there. So a bit of a chilly start there Monday because of those clear skies. But the clear skies will lead to plenty of sunshine all day long, combined with those southerly winds, and we have temperatures by the afternoon already above where we were today, and by the evening about 10 degrees above where we were today. So each day going forward, you'll notice a little bit of a trend here, especially to Tuesday too, where we have 70s on Monday. We cool it back down only into around the 50s, upper 50s out there Tuesday morning. And then by Tuesday noontime, we're back where our highs were on Monday, and our afternoon highs on Tuesday almost 10 degrees warmer from Monday. So 3 days here, we're going to boost those temperatures by around 8 to 10 degrees with almost 80s coming in here on Tuesday. Plenty of sunshine there, and that's going to be feeling absolutely amazing. Keeping it dry all the way through really most of Wednesday. You see it tries to bring in a little bit of a rain threat to parts of central, northern, and then also western Kentucky. But that's going to be kind of staying out of our region until we get into Thursday. That system starts to shift more into the region, and that's going to bring us our next rain threat. So we'll see that temperature trend over the next few days start to skew up into those 80s by Wednesday, and then those storms move through for the end of the week and knock the temperatures down a little bit. But we're not talking about a big cool down. It's just knocking it back down to some 60s.
Well, the main thing is, for now, things are still looking pretty good for Saturday.
Yeah, and that's a big day we're going to be watching closely with that first Saturday in May, the Derby Day. And right now it is looking good, but I'm going to be knocking on wood so I don't jinx it in the forecast.
I think you kind of already jinxed it
I probably
earlier,
did.
just for the record.
Right.
All right, Adam, thanks. Well, roses are red and Pepsi is blue, and a woman ends up with a surprise felony charge after her VHS is overdue. Did you like that rhyme? Those stories are next in the Spotlight.
A college baseball broadcaster makes an amazing catch that took everyone by surprise.
It happened last week when Texas Tech visited Morgantown, West Virginia to take on the West Virginia Mountaineers. Yeah. Second baseman Jace Young was up to bat, torched a foul ball.
Oh my God.
Beeline directly toward the broadcast booth. How about those reflexes?
Yes.
Jeff Haxton calling the play, put out his bare left hand, snagged it with ease there, met with cheers from the crowd, well-deserved. Afterwards, look at that about it. Afterwards saying his hand hurt so bad. No wonder. I mean, that ball was stung pretty hard coming straight back up there. Texas Tech walked away with a win that night over West Virginia 7-2, and I had actually seen that video before. Pretty impressive. Not gonna lie.
Yeah, I mean, the fact that whenever you see, like, he pretty much reaches and catches it right in front of him.
Yeah.
So the fact that if he didn't catch that, he would have probably been hit by it. So I would take probably a hurt hand rather than a hurt face or chest.
Yeah, exactly. Could have been a lot worse. And, you know, he caught it solid. So, you know, at least it didn't, like, hit off his finger.
Very cool catch.
Yeah, not bad.
Well, this is pretty cool. For Pepsi fans, it is pleasing its fans with the return of a throwback favorite. Check this out. The soda company announces its fan favorite blueberry flavored soft drink will return to stores for the first time since 2004. Pepsi broke the news to customers with an ad appropriately to the throwback tune of I'm Blue by Eiffel 65.
Blue,
great song.
Da.
There we go.
There you go.
Shoppers will be able to start spotting the cool colored soft drink on shelves everywhere starting May 3rd.
I don't normally like things like that, like the blue raspberry and those kind of flavored things. That's not it's not really my jam. I don't really go for that.
Yeah, and I'm not the biggest Pepsi fan myself.
Yeah, me neither.
I tend to go on the other side if I'm going to go for soft drinks. But, you know, I guess some people may like it.
Well, and it's something they said they haven't had since 2004. Right. So, you know, that'll get people to try it who liked it back then and some new people
interest
to try it. But I probably won't be one of them.
Yeah, me neither. Well, speaking of throwbacks, you all remember VHS tapes, right?
Yes, that is a throwback. Well,
yes.
A Texas woman has discovered she's wanted on felony embezzlement charges, which seems like overkill, for apparently not returning a VHS tape over 20 years ago. You can imagine it was a moment of disbelief for Karen McBride. She was talking to the Cleveland County District Attorney's Office this week. Online documents show McBride was charged with embezzlement in March of 2000,
oh my gosh,
but never knew about those charges until recently when she was trying to change her name on her license. After getting married, she learned she was a wanted felon for never returning Sabrina the Teenage Witch on VHS, which also a movie she said she never even rented.
No, actually, I had lived with a young man. This was over 20 years ago. He had two kids, daughters that were 8, 10, 11 years old. And I'm thinking he went and got it and didn't take it back or something. I don't know. I have never watched that show in my entire life. Just not my cup of tea. I mean, I didn't try to deceive anyone over Samantha Teenage Witch. I swear.
Did you catch it? She called her Samantha Teenage Witch, so I actually do believe her that she didn't watch it. The Cleveland County District Attorney's Office decided to dismiss, but the case actually has to be expunged in order for McBride to clear her record moving forward.
Oh my gosh.
And get this, it gets worse. McBride says over the last 20 years, she's been let go from several jobs without giving a reason, and now she thinks she might have an idea of why. Who would have thought over a VHS tape? And to be honest, like probably the place that she rented it from is like long been out of business anyway. And so the fact that that charge is still around, that is insane.
Yeah, I mean, at least they're dropping the charges.
Right.
Still kind of a pain to go through that process, but pretty wild story there.
Definitely not worth it over Sabrina the Teenage Witch.
No, not at all.
And that's what's in the spotlight tonight.
Coming up on the Fox 56 Sports Extra, the champs are back in the Bluegrass. Kentucky volleyball returning home after winning their first national championship. Here from National Coach of the Year, Craig Skinner, and his winning Wildcats. At Kentucky Proud Park, the baseball Wildcats. The chance to win the weekend series against Alabama. That plus a look at UK softball and their test against LSU on the Fox 56 Sports Extra.
Health officials have long stressed the importance of getting your second COVID vaccine dose and getting it on time if you got Pfizer or Moderna. However, new data shows millions of Americans have missed that crucial step, and that means they're not fully protected against the virus. Fox News correspondent Christina Coleman has more.
Millions of Americans are not fully vaccinated. According to data from the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, more than 5 million Americans have skipped out on their second COVID-19 vaccine dose. That's nearly 8% of those who received an initial Pfizer or Moderna vaccine, and the number is only going up. The trend is troubling health experts who say the second dose dramatically increases your immunity to COVID-19.
If you are fully vaccinated, it is highly unlikely that you're going to be someone who spreads this virus. You're not even likely to be asymptomatically infected. It doesn't mean it's 100%, but it is extremely unlikely.
As more and more Americans get vaccinated, we could be seeing updated advice from the CDC on wearing masks outside. Dr. Anthony Fauci says he expects the agency to change its guidelines soon, as the risk of spreading the virus outdoors is really low.
When you look around at the common sense situation, obviously the risk is really very low, particularly if you're vaccinated.
Meanwhile, the vaccination rate in the U.S. is slowing down. Most Americans who wanted a vaccine have already gotten one, leading some vaccination sites to struggle to fill appointments. As supply begins to outpace demand, there are growing calls for the U.S. to share vaccines with other nations.
And if the U.S. has such an increased overabundance of supply, this is where we should be for humanitarian reasons and for the world economic recovery.
And the 2-dose Pfizer and Moderna vaccines may not be enough to keep people protected over time. Researchers from both companies say vaccinated people will probably need a booster shot within the next year. In Los Angeles, Christina Coleman, Fox News.
Starting tomorrow, Health First Bluegrass and Lexington Public Library are teaming up to host weekly COVID vaccine clinics. They will be at the Village branch, that's on Versailles Road, from 1 to 4 on Mondays through the end of June. You can either make a reservation or just walk in. You do have to be 18 or older, but remember, it's free. An annual walk held in downtown Lexington today meant to raise awareness for HIV. After almost 30 years now of the event, Shelby Smithson explains how a different deadly disease forced organizers to get creative to continue the tradition.
Each step is one closer to eradicating HIV completely. That's the entire goal of AVOL Kentucky.
AVOL's mission is to end HIV, and we are here to serve.
Using their annual AIDS walk to raise awareness and money, funds that will go toward HIV testing and other social services for those infected and affected by AIDS. COVID-19 is a hurdle that meant fewer walkers participating this year, but the level of support from the community remains the same.
They have not let us down. They've continued to provide financial support for organizations like AVOL and other organizations as well, and we're just blessed to be a part of this really great community.
It's an event that would usually draw hundreds of people, but because of the pandemic, there's about 50 HIV care heroes walking in representation of the entire community.
These are folks who have continued to work throughout the pandemic, serving people living with HIV, providing services, housing assistance, and HIV testing.
The event kicked off with speakers like State Representative Kelly Flood and Lexington Mayor Linda Gordon, whose background in healthcare gives her a personal tie to the cause.
I did lots of patient care over a period of many, many years, and it is something that is dear to my heart.
Then the HIV care heroes took off through downtown to continue the journey to a cure. In Lexington, Shelby Smithson for the Fox 56 10 o'clock news.
The goal of the fundraiser is to raise $38,000. Now, AVOL Kentucky had reached $36,000 before that walk even started. Outside Churchill Downs, valets and others gathered to protest ahead of the Kentucky Derby. Valets saddle the horses and make sure things run smoothly for jockeys behind the scenes. They're currently working under an expired contract. They say Churchill canceled contract negotiations. The union attorney argued valets are underpaid and don't get the benefits they deserve, and without them, there's no Derby.
We're asking for members of our community that are essential to the races. Look at what the valets do. They ensure safe and compliant races, and they have worked on these tracks for decades. And we're asking for just a semblance of justice.
And Seward Hole says the valet's contract request would only cost Churchill Downs $27,000 a year. Folks in Corbin spent part of this weekend celebrating one of the world's most famous Kentuckians, all part of the inaugural Colonel Fest in Corbin. Yes, it celebrates the life and legacy of KFC founder Harlan Sanders, who started his business there. This is not Harlan Sanders. This is Henry Dowell. He had the honor of playing the part of the Colonel for the festival. He says it's the first time he's done it since the pandemic.
That's one of the reasons I like doing this, is that you can relay a story of a man who was an entrepreneur and who, didn't take no for an answer, and built something from absolute nothing.
Dowell says folks in the area know a lot about Colonel Sanders. He wanted to make sure he knew his stuff. That is good stuff right there. One company's CEO now says the global shortage in computer chips could stick around. Why that may cost consumers in the long run, that's ahead in 5 Things to Know Before Bed. Chicago police have charged an 18-year-old man in the murder of a young girl at a Chicago McDonald's last weekend. That tops tonight's Fox 56 News Notes. 18-year-old Marion Lewis is facing more than a dozen charges in connection to the death of 7-year-old Jaislyn Adams. The young girl was in a car with her father at a McDonald's when the shooting happened. Jaislyn's father was also injured in that shooting. Chicago police shot and apprehended Lewis on Thursday. Police are continuing to search for a motive for that shooting. Family, friends, and members of the hip-hop industry paid tribute to the late Earl Simmons, DMX, at a memorial yesterday at the Barclays Center in Brooklyn. And while fans were not allowed in, they still lined the streets outside. Kanye West, Busta Rhymes, and Nas were just a few of the big names who attended. The event was live streamed on YouTube because of strict COVID requirements. Outside of the music industry, Simmons also appeared in movies, including Belly and Romeo Must Die. There are now calls for the U.S. to avoid what's being called vaccine nationalism and to share its surplus of COVID shots with struggling countries in Central America. Nearly 90 million people in the U.S. have been fully vaccinated. Vaccine supplies are plentiful right now, with some states even turning down planned shipments. And this comes as Honduras has obtained only 59,000 vaccines for its 10 million people. The Biden administration is now deciding which countries should share America's surplus vaccine supply. Coming up in sports, Kentucky baseball with a pivotal Sunday doubleheader against Alabama. Plus, Kentucky volleyball has returned to Lexington as national champs. Hear from the winning Wildcats following their welcome home party when we come back.
Well, we are seeing clear conditions out there for tonight and really nothing across the region. High pressure taking over the forecast, and that means we are keeping those dry days around for really much of this week ahead, at least the first half of the week we're looking at. We'll have 40s there in the morning, some areas starting around the upper 30s as well, so a bit of a chilly start. But by the afternoon into the evening, temperature is going to be warming up into the mid-60s and eventually into the mid-70s. This is just the start of a warm-up. That high pressure that's helping us out with dry weather going to be shifting off to our south and east. As it does so, we have another low pressure out to the Rockies that's helping kind of surge in a lot of southerly air. That's going to warm up those temperatures into the 80s by later on this week. We're looking at Tuesday into Wednesday with those 80s around. Then a little bit of a cool down by the end of the week, and that's because of this system here. Comes in late Wednesday, but really more into Thursday. We see this cold front that slowly drifts down into the region, bringing in showers, thunderstorms that will last into parts of Friday. But fortunately, right now at least, it's looking dry for Derby Day. Let's check in now and see what's happening in sports.
Time now for the Fox 56 Sports Extra.
It is trophy season in Lexington, and Kentucky volleyball has returned home as national champs. As you saw in that video, the championship banner unveiled today at the Wildcats welcome home party. When I talked to Craig Skinner this afternoon, he said, quote, "I don't think very many people believe the school like Kentucky could win the national championship." He said there's been so many doubters, but they silenced that doubt with the school's first national title. Mission accomplished for this special group of Wildcats.
You can't even put it into words. I can't even think of how long I've been wanting these types of moments, and the extra hours, the blood, sweat, and tears, the sacrifice this year especially. I mean, all of it is so worth it standing here right now, and it's truthfully, I'm speechless. It's been awesome.
It's so special. I mean, it's been a really long time coming, like Madison said, and we've worked since our freshman year to get here. That's what we want to do. We want to make a difference, and we've done that, and we've talked about it. We manifested it, and it feels really great to finally get to the spot where we've been talking about for so long.
We absolutely talked about winning a national championship, recruiting that group of seniors, and and we've been talking about that for years, and we had to get to a point where we felt like we could close talent-wise, and they were a group that believed. And talent's one thing, but you got to put all the other stuff into it, and that group did.
What a win for the Wildcats. Congrats once again. Rain in Lexington yesterday, postponing both baseball and softball, so we get to enjoy a pair of doubleheaders. That's nice. Let's go to Kentucky Proud Park first. Alabama and UK duking it out in game one. Bottom three, the Cats strike first. Austin Schultz. Right into the corner it goes. That scores Chase Estep, and it's 1-0. Then it's a Rajanu. Off the hands, and it goes right up the middle. 2-0 Cats. They go on to win Game 1, 5-2 in 7. In Game 2, the Cats looking to complete the sweep of the Crimson Tide. TJ Collette, a man on a mission. 12th of the year, 38th of his career. 6-0 Kentucky. Then it's Collette again. Just the third Wildcat in the last 13 years to hit 3 homers in 1 game. Also ties his idol, A.J. Reed, with 40 career homers. The Cats roll 11-0 to improve to 9-9 in the SEC.
He'll be getting a phone call on the way home. But on a serious note, he is A.J. if you're watching this, man. I mean, you're who pushed me in Terre Haute. You and Josh Fagley just let me know that it was possible to be able to come and play at a high level and perform. So even having that number to chase here brought the best out of me. So I just want to thank you for that if you're watching this.
What a day for TJ. Right next door, number 14 Kentucky, number 15 LSU. The Tigers winning Game 1 10-7, and they poured on in Game 2. Taylor Pleasant's 2-run shot. It's 10-3. In the 7th, here comes Kentucky. Miranda Stoddard. That is a solo shot, but too little too late. LSU wins at 10-4 to sweep the doubleheader. The Cats at A&M next weekend. 6 days from today, Kentucky Derby 147, and Brad Cox has removed Caddo River from the race. He says the horse has a fever. So if all goes well tomorrow, Brooklyn Strong will head to Louisville as the newest horse in the field. As for some of your Derby contenders, Hot Rod Charlie and Rock Your World have finally arrived at Churchill Downs. Hot Rod Charlie won the Louisiana Derby and is trained by 2-time Derby winner Doug O'Neill. Rock Your World, there he is, pose. He won the Santa Anita Derby and is trained by John Sadler. The Derby post position draw will be Tuesday morning at 11 a.m. That's it for sports. We'll be right back.
Chipotle's CFO Jack Hartung says if minimum wage is raised, the fast casual restaurant will raise menu prices. While speaking on an earnings call, Hartung said if the government mandates a $15 minimum wage, consumers can expect prices to increase between 2 to 3%. Currently at Chipotle, crew members earn a minimum wage of $12 and hourly employees receive $13. This year's Academy Awards telecast is allowing attendees not to wear masks, but with some significant stipulations due to the telecast setup. Academy show producers say those at the primary venue do not have to wear masks while seated in the main showroom and while on camera. They will, however, have to be worn during commercial breaks when out of the main showroom and in one of 2 adjacent courtyards. The ceremony is presented under the rationale it's being shot like a movie, and under current production guidelines, masks are not required for people on camera. Attendees still underwent mandatory testing prior to the show and were temperature checked when they arrived. Honda Motors' new CEO Toshihiro Mibe saying the company will make 100% electric and fuel cell vehicles by the year 2040. Chief Executive made the announcement at his first news conference since taking over as CEO of Honda earlier this month, saying, quote, "I believe it is the responsibility of an automaker to achieve our carbon-free goal on a tank-to-wheel basis." Intel's new chief executive says supply constraints, which were disrupted due to the coronavirus pandemic, could continue to affect global chip production for months to come, and in turn, several job sectors from car makers to electronics. CEO Pat Gelsinger saying, quote, "This will take a while until folks can put more capacity in the ground. It's just the way it is when you're building new factories." A new British study says human-to-cat transmission of the coronavirus is possible. Researchers at the University of Glasgow Centre for Virus Research in Scotland say they've identified 2 cats which tested positive for the virus. Both cats came from suspected COVID-19 infected households. Scientists said human-to-cat transmission is common, but the variability in cases depends on the proximity of the cat to the human. They added an animal which is infected isn't necessarily going to require veterinary intervention. For now, scientists also aren't ruling out whether the virus can go from cats to humans. There you go. 5 things to know before you go to bed. Early morning, but really going to warm up after that.
Yeah, it really is. We'll have that sunshine come out throughout the day, all day long. Southerly winds taking over, and that's going to really surge those temperatures into the mid-70s. And then you have 80s coming in for the middle parts of the week, Tuesday into Wednesday, before some showers take over the end of the week.
You know, people are itching to start planting.
Oh, yes, getting so close, and I think it's getting safer.
All right, thanks for joining us. Have a good night.